What's up guys, my name is Carl and welcome back to Tech Hunter. So today I'm building a PC for another close family member, my parents. Can't get much closer than them. And you can see that little Lenovo PC back there. They've had that a few years and it is starting to kind of run its course. Overall, it's an okay-ish PC. Maybe if we just change the hard drive for an SSD, it'd be absolutely fine and keep them going for a little bit longer. But my parents are getting increasingly more frustrated with the PC, just kind of loading up tasks and loading up web browsers after a while, as you can imagine with Chrome. That i3 really starts to show its age. I'm pretty sure it's only a dual core CPU. So the PC behind me is actually running Windows 7 Service Pack 1. It never got updated. And one thing that my parents do is they leave this computer like left turned on. My mum doesn't really like to turn it off in case something happens or because it takes so long to turn back on. So that is one thing I kind of kept in mind with my parts choice for this build. So let's get all the parts together, see what's actually going to be going in their system, and then I'll move on to the boring bit of changing all the files over, of which you guys will not be present for obvious kind of security and data protection reasons. I'm going to bring you guys along for the build so you can see what their kind of new office PC looks like. And I think you guys will appreciate how it looks. Fairly understated minimalist PC, and it should have plenty of horsepower for what they're ever gonna need. First thing I am gonna do is turn that PC off because the spinning hard drive is driving me mad. They usually keep this thing inside of a cupboard, so surprisingly it's not very dusty in there. We're gonna have to move this out the way for now. It's just ruining my audio. First things first, motherboard. Kind of gives you a few hints of where we're going with this. We've got the B450 Gaming Plus Max. The Gaming Plus really has nothing to do with my choice. It is more the fact that it says Max on it. So this means that this motherboard is straight from the retailer, ready to support Ryzen 3000, which is why it has that little sticker down there saying Ryzen 3000 desktop ready. And that is something I have really kind of liked with MSI, in particularly being the only real people doing this that I've seen. They've got their Gaming Plus, their Tomahawks, and a few other motherboards and just stuck Max on it. That way you know it is ready for Ryzen 3000. And that is pretty much my only choice for this motherboard. I didn't want to have to buy a motherboard for say 10 or £5 less with a non-Max name, then update the BIOS myself. I'd rather just pay £5 or £10 more, get one that is good to go. So as you can obviously guess, we are going AMD. So therefore, I just quickly grab this one from up here. We've got a Ryzen 5 3400G. This has integrated graphics, which is all my parents will ever need. They don't need a GPU, they don't need a gaming PC, they just need basically something to connect a monitor onto. Maybe Intel would have been a more viable option if you think maybe I'm saying that a lot of them are kind of F series, which are kind of getting rid of the CPU. So we'd have to look at maybe the 9400 and the 8400, which is again, a little bit older now. This CPU came out this year, the 9400 came out I believe last year, and the 8400 possibly the year before that. So we've got something from 2019, and I feel like 4 cores, 8 threads, decent cooler included, that should be plenty enough for what they need. Oh, and it boosts up to 3.7 gigahertz as well, so that should be plenty of power for what they're doing. I mentioned earlier about the SSD. I've got a WD Blue SSD. It is just a basic SATA M.2 SSD. Nothing really special, but it does hit those 516 megabyte reads and 530 writes. So overall, a decent SATA drive, but SATA nonetheless. Really, I didn't want to have to put another kind of cable in there, to be honest. And I don't really want to put the hard drive in there for the main reason that it's just going to make more noise. For RAM, we are going from, I believe, 4 gigs of 1600 megahertz DDR3 RAM to 16 gigs of DDR3000 from Team Group. This is some nice, clean looking RAM. Again, doesn't need to be amazing, incredible 3600 speeds. This PC will be purely used for a light web browsing and kind of accounts and bookkeeping. So again, you could probably say this is all even overpowered for that, but I'd rather my parents have something that's a little bit better, that will last them even longer than say the current PC already has. And I know with this kind of hardware, it's going to be super easy to upgrade in the future if 16 gigs of RAM never becomes enough, we can add in another 16 for 32, we can add another SSD, we can always upgrade that CPU to a 12 core if they ever need that. But the options are there. Finally, the Be Quiet Pure Power 11 400 watt 80 plus gold power supply. It's not modular, it's not really anything particularly special, but what it is a low wattage as it needs to be, and it is 80 plus gold. That is kind of my main reason for picking this up. I believe this was less than £50, 80 plus gold, Be Quiet, very quiet fans included with their power supplies as well. As I said earlier, my parents quite often left their computer just kind of on overnight or left it running for several days at a time before ever turning it off. And I believe that 80 plus gold is something they should definitely have if they're leaving it on. Then the final piece is the case, the Phanteks P300. It's black, it's subtle, it's minimalist, it's not that big, really. It's just a general small kind of mid-tower. It's just kind of hanging on at the moment. But it comes with an included fan at the rear. I don't believe there has any more, so I'll just chuck some in. I've got some on the side. We'll definitely have two on the exhaust for this machine, as it is going to be in a cupboard and it only really has access out of the back of the machine, so it's not going to be pulling anything in through the front. It will be exhausting a lot, so we're going to have that negative air pressure. It works for NZXT cases. I don't see why it won't work for this case. So that's pretty much it, guys. We've got all the parts laid out here. Now it's time to put them all together, build this PC, and then start swapping some hard drives around and changing data. Hopefully I'll have enough time before they need to use it again to get this all sorted. Wish me luck. Right guys, so that is pretty much it. We are all done. The PC booted up first time, no issues, almost. I did have to swap the RAM over. I completely read it wrong. It's meant to go in the red slots, not the black slots, so it didn't make any difference. It just said, they're currently in the wrong slots. Please change them over. Okay, changed, no problem. So they're now in the red ones instead of the black ones, but whatever. It still worked, so meh. I did manage to get another Phanteks fan in the top of the PC, so that will help with the exhaust of the heat from this little machine. And also, I'm pretty happy with how it looks overall. It's pretty stealthy. Once we get that glass side panel on, I'm sure my parents will like how it looks as well. And now it's time to install the software, copy all the files over from their old hard drive, and then eventually get that hard drive installed into here. So then we can start using that as kind of like a backup drive, and also using it as just kind of spare storage. Overall though, pretty happy with the Phanteks P300. A good solid case for £50. It also has some RGB capabilities built into it if you use the Phanteks strips and stuff like that, but really we don't really need that for my parents, so that's pretty much it. The only LED they do have is on the motherboard where it says Gaming Plus, and I'm sure they can live with that. Anyway though guys, I've got all this fun of installing Windows and so on to get on with. So I'll leave you guys to it. Thank you very much for watching and coming along for this video. If you like this video, please do not hesitate to click that like button down below. And also, if my face hasn't offended you throughout this video, please don't forget to hit that subscribe button and that bell icon next to it so you can watch my next video as soon as it drops. Thank you very much, guys. I'll catch you in the next one. Cheers.